According to reports, loved ones were annoyed by their lack of control, as well as the rumors. Everybody had ideas. Everybody had an opinion. But it was impossible to shut down the internet. Tamar was allegedly convinced by some to publicly discuss the matter. Others warned that responding would only fuel the rumors. Because of that internal conflict that reflected the larger one, she felt torn between silence and indignation. Occurring online, fans also replayed conversations where she talked about self-worth and emotional exhaustion. Looking back at her previous statements about partnerships, many now saw them as prophetic. They argued that this was the result of years of emotional strain. Critics claimed that rather than being the product of a single rumor, individuals were implying significance where none existed. But projection has a lot of power, especially when it coincides with a current story. According to online discussions, there came a time in the marriage when it appeared safer to ignore fighting. Time spent apart became more frequent. Two accounts claim that communication became more logistical rather than emotional. Fans claimed that this move marked the true end, despite the fact that no notification had been made. When love takes over, something essential has already been gone. However, the internet was ruthless. Conversations grew personal, harsh. There were charges. Tamar was fiercely protected by her supporters, describing the rumors as reckless and invasive. Others said that by keeping quiet, she was guilty. Each and every, even with carefully organized public appearances, the division became more noticeable every day. The constant struggle between empathy and judgment made the emotional toll clear. Accounts state that the weight of public criticism began to affect judgments. Protection of mental health became a major priority. Peace was more important than proving one's innocence. It didn't seem possible to be married under constant suspicion. It wasn't that love had completely disappeared, according to those close to the matter. Rather, the environment had become poisonous. Symbolic moments were witnessed by fans. That led to more speculation, small routine changes, unfamiliar settings, and a shift in Tamar's outlook on the future, with a greater emphasis on strength and independence. None of it was proof, but it all seemed to fit the rumors. Perception solidified into belief, and belief solidified into certainty for a large number of external observers. The term divorced began to proliferate with greater assurance. It was accepted, but not verified, assumed rather than announced. Long before formal legal action is taken, emotional divorce often takes place. Based on that logic, many people thought the conclusion had already been reached, according to some. Followers believed they were witnessing an emotional reality that eclipsed the presence of documentation. Legal talks were reportedly amicable, but definitive, according to internet rumors. Careful planning, as opposed to dramatic clashes. The main points of contention were boundaries, privacy, and moving on without doing additional harm. Fans were more terrified of that calm. More angry than they were? Anger is an indication of passion. Calm implies closure. Vince Herbert's involvement in online discussions contributed another level of emotional nuance. Fans questioned whether Tamar was once again being pulled into an unmanageable story by comparing both the present and the history. Supporters argued that instead of speculation, she should be respected. Trends, according to critics, could not be ignored. In order to justify their assessments of the present, people began using the past as a mirror. It became apparent as the narrative progressed. It turned out to be about more than a single alleged affair or health rumor. It was about the cost of living in public while suffering in private. Love under scrutiny, trust under pressure. Many observers believed that the marriage had been placed in an unworkable circumstance. Endure criticism while remaining silent, or you risk more danger if you speak up. By now, fans? Danger if you speak up. By now, fans? The internet didn't awaken quietly today. It was awakened by whispers. Then provide a start. Then there was a headline that circulated so quickly that nobody could stop it. Alerts on breaking news. Conversations in groups are flourishing. Fans are continuously perusing their streams in an effort to separate chaos from reality. Braxton Tamar's separation was confirmed. That's what the reports state in any case. Furthermore, The same stories that were circulating implied that this was not just a low-key breakup. This was allegedly the outcome of something much darker, messy, and personal. According to online sources, Mendeecees Harris's rumors are what led to the collapse. The alleged romance, the secret meetings, the stories of a night that exceeded everyone's expectations. Tamar's name became well known, according to fans, because of the queries that no celebrity ever connected with them, not TV or music. Then came the word that fundamentally changed the tone: HIV. It hasn't been confirmed by an official statement, but enough people have brought it up on blogs and gossip sites to irritate her fan base. Online users began bringing her past, including her marriage history, back into the spotlight. Her ex-husband, Vince Herbert, suddenly reappeared in the conversation. Supporters recalled earlier interviews, disagreements, situations where Tamar had hinted that she had already gone through emotional suffering. These sources claim that people are now questioning whether the most recent event shows that she was never truly free of it. Screenshots are being shared. Quotes from unnamed sources are included. Some claim that the legal paperwork is already finished. Some believe the story is too dramatic. One thing, though, is undeniable. Emotions are running high. Fans are shocked. Critics disagree with one another. Furthermore, there is no longer any consensus on what is true on social media. Was this really the turning point? Did whispers about her health and possible treachery destroy her peace of mind? Or is this only another example of our internet rumors getting out of control? Whatever the truth, the family is once more under public scrutiny, and the damage appears to be irreparable, at least on the internet. As the rumors become louder, one question hangs huge in the air. Why, if it's only chatter, does it feel so real this time? The issue didn't blow up right away. It had been quietly growing over weeks, probably even months. On the surface of carefully orchestrated public appearances and social media grins, based on stories that were circulating, people with knowledge of the situation claimed that stress had already entered Tamar's private life before fans realized there was a problem. Conversations are supposed to get shorter and less having faith. Furthermore, speculations concerning Mendeecees did not start off in a calm environment when they began to circulate online. They found themselves in a marriage already plagued by emotional problems from the past. Blogs began to conjecture that the alleged connection between Tamar and Mendeecees wasn't merely an impromptu rumor. They said that the two had connected through overlapping circles, friends, and shared industry spaces. Viewers started rewatching old videos in an effort to identify situations that were different in hindsight. A chuckle lingered for too long. A prolonged look. Nothing material, but sufficient to fuel speculation. Once the idea of an affair got traction, the internet did what it usually does. Each and every detail was expanded. Her spouse reportedly responded to the rumors in a prompt and forceful manner. According to sources, allegations flew following late-night arguments that left both sides emotionally exhausted. It was claimed that once trust was questioned, it could never be restored. Tamar first denied everything, saying that online rumors had gone too far, according to multiple insiders. Others claim that silence followed, which made the issue worse. Abrupt unfollows, deleted posts, and a noticeable shift in tone were all signs that fans were tense. The most harmful aspect of the narrative suddenly surfaced. Even though they weren't there to hear the comments, HIV. There was no official confirmation. No medical declaration, only claims that continued appearing in comment sections, anonymous advice, and gossip websites. According to these accounts, the alleged affair was both emotional and hazardous, and panic changed everything. Insiders claim that worries about one's future, family, health, and reputation spread. Regardless of the veracity of the rumor, it was enough to shock everyone involved. The marriage could not withstand the combination of fear and betrayal. Many began to say, even those who disagreed with the HIV claims admitted that the damage had already been done. Trust had broken down. A complete breakdown in communication was reported. Family members were allegedly involved in the conflict by giving conflicting versions of what transpired. Emotions were running hot, and the chances of reconciliation were dwindling with every day that passed. Fans witnessed Tamar retreating from the spotlight. Her tone on the internet reportedly shifted from assertive to cautious. Mysterious posts came and disappeared. Funny captions were swapped out for featuring quotes about resilience and fortitude. Many saw this as evidence that something important was going on behind closed doors. Some said it was just another example of online hyperbole. But the silence only grew more intense, the noise kept getting louder. Adopting the same study, it is stated that rather than dramatic courtroom spectacles, legal conversations began in covert. Regulated discussions focused on protecting assets, privacy, and dignity. Sources claim that the word divorced appeared earlier than expected. Once the boundary was passed, there was no easy way back. Although the public did not know how it would end, people close to the couple described the atmosphere as solemn and definite. The specter of past suffering, according to fans, made the scenario much more excruciating. In the past, Tamar has been open about relationships that caused emotional pain, mistrust, and scars. Worries. Others asserted that patterns were less forgiving and were repeating themselves. The internet split into groups, each of which felt confident in their superior knowledge of the truth. Meanwhile, speculation about Mendeecees persisted. Every move he made was scrutinized. While some perceived his silence as polite, Bree found it suspicious. Was he attempting to avoid adding fuel to the flames, or was there something he couldn't deny? There were only more inquiries and no conclusive responses. Every rumor seemed to start 3 more, leaving everyone even more in the dark. Friends were reportedly forced to take sides. Some supposedly told Tamar to go away from the chaos and protect herself. Others advised confronting the rumors. According to internet reports, her husband chose distance because he believed it was the only way to prevent things from getting worse. But distance did not provide insight. It brought a chill that crystallized into decisions. When they saw the word confirmed in relation to divorce, many admirers thought the emotional decision had already been made. Whether or not there were paperwork was less significant than the notion that the marriage had reached a breaking point. When trust is undermined, particularly it is rarely restored in the face of public scrutiny. The story began to concentrate less on what had actually happened, and more on what people believed had transpired, as the emotions proceeded to spin out of control. One reality became apparent to everyone watching from the outside. Whatever the reality, charges of betrayal. Health issues and persistent public pressure came together to create a storm strong enough to ruin even the most personal lives. And in that storm, love had no chance. The cacophony on the internet did not stop spike. Instead, the tone shifted. As fans examined each chronology, whispers evolved into full-fledged arguments between them. Tamar's prior connections and interviews? Many said that this situation was eerily similar to her first marriage to Vince Herbert. People remembered how she described feeling emotionally overwhelmed, abandoned, and ignored. These memories resurfaced, not only out of compassion, but also to bolster the notion that history was being replayed. According to claiming online, her spouse had a very hard time handling the public nature of the accusations. The humiliation of witnessing his marriage was said to be intolerable in comment sections. Friends claimed to have noticed a change in his demeanor from defensive to distant, even if nothing had been shown. Discussions that had previously centered on mending the damage reportedly shifted to maintaining peace. It can be louder than any argument, and often replaces confrontation when trust is compromised. Additionally, fans began watching how Tamar's loved ones reacted. According to reports, family members were concerned about their reputation, as well as their emotional well-being. Fans who felt limits had been crossed were enraged by the idea that her name was associated with HIV rumors. Some, however, argued that belief was the only thing that kept the story alive, and that rumors don't just happen. Amidst all of this, while emotions were running high, logic was trying to survive. The alleged relationship with Mendeecees remained at the center of the narrative. Yes, all of the posts, appearances, and absences were taken as evidence. Although some admirers thought that the coincidence was, others claimed that time proved everything, and that it was misconstrued as fact. The problem was made worse by the lack of a denial from either side. Silence allowed the imagination to run wild. Additionally, the gaps are rarely filled. eliminated after the internet fills them. Sources claim that the marriage began to feel more like a bargain than a connection. Trust has been shattered. Conversations allegedly turned pragmatic, focusing on boundaries, distance, and room. The idea of reconciliation faded as the days passed. There was little hope. According to many close to the problem who expressed emotional exhaustion, when love is buried in suspicion, it suffocates. Fans noticed minor changes that improved the narrative. Tamar was reportedly more circumspect in public. Laughter looked forced. Confidence seemed exhausted. Quotations regarding respect for oneself and survival began to show up often, which many saw as coded communication. Such signals were too similar to the rumors to be ignored, whether intentional or not. Supporters were wary. Critics believed they were warranted. Despite being unsubstantiated, the disparity widened. The claims about HIV were given the highest weight. Because they appeal to people's deepest anxieties, health-related rumors usually have a bigger impact. Online discussions shifted from being curious to accusation, from rumors to verdicts. Some called it cruel speculation, while others saw it as a consequence. In any event, it is said that the rumor alone changed the tone of private conversations. Evidence is not necessary for fear to take control, because once it enters a relationship, it rarely ends amicably. According to online sources, the marriage had gotten so bad that no amount of justification could make it better. The public's trust has been questioned, and that stain is difficult to remove. Reports state that family involvement increased to deal with the fallout rather than to save the connection. People began focusing on damage management rather than healing. Conclusions become unavoidable when it happens. Many admirers believe that Tamar was worthy of sympathy regardless of the facts. They mentioned years of public scrutiny and emotional vulnerability. Some were less sympathetic, arguing that prominent people incite public criticism. The dispute grew more intense, louder, more personal. Criticism and compassion every day, each side thought they were upholding as they collided. Justice believed that speculation was not discouraged by the lack of specific information. Instead, it intensified it. It was assumed that there would be a divide. The phrase divorced was more frequently used. This was linked to confidence as opposed to prudence. The marriage appeared to be finished in spirit even among those who questioned its authenticity. Perception became reality in the eyes of the public. Furthermore, it is nearly hard to return once that boundary has been crossed. Discussions on legal separation were no longer theoretical, according to online chatter. Modest acknowledgments that the partnership was not dramatic battles, but irreversible damage. It was remarked that it seemed impossible to rebuild confidence when under constant scrutiny. It was impossible to regain privacy once it was lost, and mending didn't seem possible without seclusion. Fans continued to study old tapes, viewing smiles as masks and past confrontations as warnings. Even in the absence of supporting evidence, the story managed to reconstruct itself in real time and produce a cohesive narrative. Belief was now stronger than the evidence. Emotion took precedence over reason. And after that belief was solidified, the marriage itself disappeared.